I guess, lost amongst that headline that Cam Newton's released is the fact that Stephon Gilmore was placed on the physically unable to perform list, meaning the first 6 games of the Patriots season at the very minimum will be without one of the top players in the game. What's up with that, Jeff?
Yeah, it's funny because you say it's sort of lost in the headlines there. I woke up this morning thinking Gilmore's status, whether it was remaining on PUP or otherwise, was going to be the biggest story of the day. So that was certainly a big development because, he told Josina Anderson, I think last month now at this point, that he would be ready for training camp if he needed to be. And, training camp is long gone at this point. And you have to look at this as a hold-in situation. And I have not heard of any real developments in terms of the contract status. And if you're Gilmore, you want the money, you want the raise. Like, I understand that. If you're the Patriots, you have to say, well, you know what? Part of the reason why you want the raise is because they continued to accelerate bonus money over the last couple seasons. And they gave him, the chance to earn more money in previous seasons. Now, of course, that all comes back to the end. And Rob Gronkowski had a similar situation. But, like, 2 big examples. And I'll start with Tom Brady. It's, I get it. It's impossible to compare anybody to Tom Brady. But Tom Brady wanted a raise in 2019. He was on the field. He got his raise August 4th. Rob Gronkowski in 2018 wanted a raise in the last year of his deal. He was on the field. He got it August 30th. Stephon Gilmore wants the raise, and the Patriots, to their right, they wanted to see Stephon Gilmore hit the field, and he hasn't done that. So it's all I can do right here, because both sides have been so quiet with this storyline, all I can do is tell you what I've been seeing. And if the Patriots have not seen Gilmore hit the field for these practices, they have the right to be reluctant to give him a ton of money going into the season. So at this point, it's been one of the more surprising developments. I never imagined it was going to drag out this far into the process, and now it's going to go even further because he's going to be on the PUP list for a minimum of 6 weeks.
So let's just assume it is a hold-in where he's just like, hey, I'm showing up, but I'm not practicing this and that and the other thing. What does this do for the Patriots? I mean, what's the move to just throw him on PUP for the Patriots? Just to say, okay, you're hurt. That's it. You're out for 6 weeks. And what does that accomplish? I don't know.
I think it's just a hardline stance. It's a hardline negotiating stance. I think.
Wow.
I mean, again, like, until somebody is a little more vocal about this process, all I can do is sort of read between the lines. And I mean, you look at, I don't know, I guess Logan Mankins was a holdout midway through the season back in 2010. He eventually got his money, but he was also coming off his rookie deal. He was a lot earlier in his career. I mean, this is tough. I don't think anybody wins with this scenario because Stephon Gilmore, I mean, a lot of people kind of got on him last year about his season.
Right.
Like, Stephon Gilmore was one of 3 defensive backs to win Defensive Player of the Year over the last quarter century. Like, what he did in 2019 was absurd. You have to play at an absurdly high level to win that award as a cornerback. So he wasn't going to be the same player. But I think a lot of people confused not being the same player with being bad. Like, Stephon Gilmore was still probably one of the 3 best cornerbacks at worst in the NFL last year. Taking him off the field does not help the Patriots. And they're going to have J.C. Jackson step into that number 1 role. J.C. Jackson last year, in my opinion, was the best number 2 cornerback in the league. When he was the number 1 without Gilmore, he had a roller coaster ride, and he had some rough games when quarterbacks just were not afraid to throw his way. We know how good he is playing the ball in the air, but he's going to get a chance to go out and prove that he can be a number 1 cornerback. Either way, he's going to get just a boatload of money next offseason in free agency. But then, number 2, you got Jalen Mills. And look, Jalen Mills is a nice guy. He practices hard. He does a lot of things the right way. He's not Stephon Gilmore. There's a natural drop-off in talent from Gilmore to anybody. But Jalen Mills is going to be their number 2 guy, and John Jones is a really good slot cornerback. He's dealt with some injuries this offseason, but, he should be ready for week 1, I would assume. And, I guess the other fallout is this possibly buys enough time for Jawan Williams to make the roster as their backup boundary cornerback.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.